It's the best Kiwi event in New Zealand, this.
Crossing New Zealand in 1 or 2 days.
Why do I do it? Because I love it.
3, 2, 1, go!
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Kathmandu Coast to Coast podcast, season 4, episode 6. Richard, I'm nearly shedding a tear. This is the last one for the season.
It is, but we've turned it on today. Gosh, relaxed. It feels like we've earned these big, comfy chairs.
I knew you'd had a hard weekend, mate, and I thought, well, what better than a nice, comfy leather chair for you to peacock and tell us all about how good you were over the weekend.
I'm not sure we'll be getting up in a hurry, but no, it's good. Good to be on this side of it, isn't it? Fantastic weekend of the Kathmandu Coast to Coast, and really looking forward to sharing a whole bunch of different experiences, what people got up to at all different parts of the field tonight.
Yeah, and look, what can we say? It's been a long time since the Coast got everything that they wanted and deserved, and over the weekend they got that. They got a full complement of athletes, 2-day, 1 day, as they had the perfect weather. It was just, you couldn't have scripted that better.
Absolutely. I mean, the course was just in perfect nick, really, wasn't it? And you could just trust that it was going to be good. There was a bit of rain come through, and that washed all the brown rocky slime off the mountain run, rolled the boulders over a few times, put the river up a bit, flushed it through, but then it dropped back down beautifully as well. And just a fantastic weekend, and the crowds enjoyed it, the support crew enjoyed it, etc. So that was amazing.
Well, I'm not sure what you can hear at home there, but hopefully there's not too much interference where we are located here tonight, which is in a big thanks actually to Scotty Brown. We're actually in his little lair here, and the rain has just set in. Now, we didn't, like we were just saying, the weather was perfect for Coast. We didn't get a drop, but just as we go to talk here tonight, the rain set in. So excuse us if you can hear a bit of rain noise on the roof.
That's right. We've hardly had any rain in Canterbury the whole summer. So it's just joined us right now. No, that's good. So we've got a big show on tonight. We have we're going to talk to Simone Maier, the women's longest day world champion winner, which is awesome. We're going to talk to Mike and Ben Ardagh. They completed the 2-day family team, so really looking forward to chatting to them. We're going to talk to Estelle Arundell. She won the female 2-day individual category by an absolute whisker, which was pretty amazing, by like 15 seconds, or might have been 17 seconds. We're going to talk to Cliff. Cliff come all the way from Canada and managed to squeak through that last cut off and finish the longest day, which was pretty epic. We're going to talk to Lucy and Trevor Hone. I've been on the show before about their experiences, 2-day individual competitors, and we're going to round out the show with the ever-suffering Sophie Beaumont. She's been with us through thick and thin as we've managed to this podcast over the last couple of years. So she got across the finish line. I'm going to chat to her about what her weekend was like.
I'm looking forward to that chat. When I ran into her and interviewed her at the end of the race, Richard, she was pretty emotional. In fact, I had to kind of like cut the interview a bit short because I was going to tear up. She was so emotional. She was,
how good.
it was just that whole end of the race. What happens at the end of the race, the emotion. So
exactly,
a fabulous lineup ahead of us. And Rich, I'm really interested in throughout tonight's episode here in between guests. I want to hear about how your race went down, like, because you were there. We've talked about it all the way. The old dog, the bridesmaid, never quite managed to get it there. I just want to know what happened, really, and how it played out.
That's right. Well, I'll share that with you. But I guess it's one of those things, is actually put your toe on the start line. It's good for you to put, like, for me to put myself out of the comfort zone. Like, stand on the start line. Do I need to do this? Do I need to be here? But so good to be part of the event and to share it with everybody else. And I guess as a coach as well, you're learning. Every time you do something, you learn from your experience too. So really good from that perspective. But yeah, cool to race. Cool to go and give it some and see what happens.
Well, we have got a big show. So shall we get ourselves underway?
I think so. Yep.
And we're going to lead from the front. There's no doubting that. And it's a big welcome to Simone Maier, now 4-time longest day women's champion, World Multisport champ. Welcome, Simone. Welcome to the show.
Congratulations as well. How good.
Hello, and thank you. Thanks for having me on the show. It's been a while.
Yeah, good job. Good job. So this was your 7th time racing, Simone, and you're aiming for your 4th title. How important was that mental toughness in completing the race? And I guess also as part of that question, how did you hold on to that positive mindset as you're racing? Because your race really went to and fro. You weren't sort of leading from the front like you have in the past all the way through. You had to play your cards this time around.
Yeah, well, I guess mental toughness, I probably wouldn't say it was mentally that tough. I guess I've done, like we all do, I've done training, I've done my homework, I would say, in a short way. And I thought if I stick to the plan, this is what could be the outcome if everything falls into place. Yeah, I think an adventure race like God's On is probably mentally way tougher, to be honest. Not to downplay, but I think it probably gets mentally tough more for the people on further back down the road, to hang in there and make these cutoffs. And I guess the mental toughness for me is like, when things don't go to plan, how do I deal with that situation? But mental tough, I think it's a bit, I don't know, it's probably a big word for, like you just, I wouldn't say it was mentally.
I guess, but it's like, I guess what I'm trying to ask there is like, you're there to win. And there's a few nerves that go there to win. You put yourself out there, don't you, to win. And you weren't winning the whole time. The other girls really took it to you within the race as well. So how did you sort of manage that through the race, as actually I'm sitting in third and fourth sort of thing, I'm managing myself at the same time? Were you ever nervous? Did you ever feel that you're out of control with it? Did you ever feel that the other girls were too far away, or did you always feel that you had it in hand?
I would, like, I never think I have anything in my hands. Like I raced to cross that finish line. I guess that's what many experiences taught me. I learned it the hard way with a lot of failures and a lot of setbacks and DNFs and name and shame. I guess what I can say over the last few years, I think as a person, an athlete, I have grown in myself. I know what I'm capable of. I know if I stick to my plan, or to what I'm, I guess like kind of a plan. Like if I pace myself right, if I have them sort of in the eye, with, or in a few minutes, and not more than 15 minutes ahead of me, I should be able to make some time on the pedal, and especially on that last bike, because that's usually always been my strength. But you never know what's going to happen. So I was pretty, kind of, I guess, a bit confident that comes with time and experience over all these years. And I guess it has shown in the last, I won it now 3 times in a row, which I always, even people like, before I started the race, people like, oh, you're going to win it again. But for me, I never go into a race and think that way. I always think it's not like that of course I want to win, but it's more like, I guess, how the day unfolds, and I want to do the best and want to get the best out of me, what I can do. Of course you keep your not enemies, but your competitors in eyesight, you know what I mean? Like, but it's probably more, I had high expectations, and I guess that's what you said. It's more that's probably more the mental or the toughness, like the pressure that you put on yourself. Like, I think that's probably, I would say that's probably the hardest for me as well. Like, I can't deny that I don't get nervous, or, I just turn up as like, oh, I won it now 3 times. Like, no, not at all, because I think it wouldn't mean anything if I wouldn't be nervous, and I wouldn't be, not fearful, but I guess, a bit of excitement and hopefully I can deliver, what I trained for and what I put my body through those last 3-4 months, Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. So to get to where you are, and like you say, you put your body on the line, you've trained to get there. A lot of us can ever imagine what it would be like to get across that finish line, for the longest day, full stop, for some of us, but 2, to take the win. What does it take for Simone to be at that level? Like, how much sacrifice goes into achieving something like this?
Well, I sacrifice a lot, but then on the other side, I enjoy what I'm doing. I'm so passionate about it, and I really love my sport. I love being outside, running around, kayaking, biking, doing all these hours of my time trial bike. If I wouldn't enjoy it, if I wouldn't have the passion, I would not do it. And I guess it becomes a bit, that saying, what is it, when your job, when you make your passion into, what is it like? What's that saying with the work, when you turn your work into your passion, or your passion into it, then it doesn't feel like a job. Even I don't get paid for it, like till I race, it's kind of the payday. And of course I have a full-time or part-time, I have 2 got 2 different part-time jobs here. But the month leading into the race, I basically flagged everything and just literally focused on the coast. And that's a massive commitment and a massive sacrifice. I sacrificed so much. And even, I guess you don't really catch up with many people because I'm way too tired and always hungry. And, I just need to recover. And yeah, it's a bit of a lonely road, but I do on the other side, I do enjoy it. Otherwise I wouldn't do it. And then I guess then even that suffering, what you put on hold, it doesn't feel like you suffer, or you put so much, on the line. Like, it doesn't feel like I'm punishing myself through it. It would be horrible. I don't think I could do it. Does it kind of make sense? Like, I don't think I could do what I do if I wouldn't feel the passion and the love for the sport, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, I just don't think I can do it.
Reflecting back on your Coast to Coast 2023 longest day, obviously getting to that finish line has got to be a highlight, but just reflecting across all the different elements of the course and managing yourself through there in one piece, staying upright on the bike and on the mountain run and in the kayak, was there any sort of real highlight that was amazing, that was different, that was awesome? I'm actually really enjoying myself, rather than did you have sort of any of those real key highlights that you could share with us?
Yeah, I had key highlights and moments where I'm like, I guess the highs and not the lows, but the highlight this year was probably finally my kayak stage. I could finally show I definitely stepped up and not another level, but I definitely felt like I'm more kayaker now than I've ever been. And I also got some nice comments from my competitors. They're like, oh wow, you nailed now all the 3 disciplines. Like, it would be so hard to beat you. I don't take it for granted, but it was a nice feedback. It's like, oh yeah, I'm finally even. It was a slow pedal, but I think I had the fastest time out of the one day, which I take happily. So that was my highlight. I also enjoyed myself, like even with the portage, we had to do the compulsory portage, which a lot of people hated. And I would admit I would hate it too, because I still believe at that level we should be able to pedal these rapids and, the corners, whatever. But that's not my job. That's not my place, not my business. But for me, it was actually a lifesaver because I had this hamstring issue, which I still have. And I guess that was my downfall not downfall, but anyway, for me, it was a relief because I could get out of the boat, carry the boat, and it really freed my back and my leg up again. So when I jumped back in, I felt like a kind of a semi-new person, still sore, but, it felt amazing. And I was like, oh my God, this is just the best thing. So for me, that was a very big highlight.
Good job.
Not a good highlight was probably the run. Oh, well, it was a highlight to run with Fiona Dowd. I don't know if she thinks the same way, but I really enjoyed my time with her.
Good.
So that was good. But that was more, I have this, not blaming my hamstring, but I went into the race with a bit of limitation, with an injury, which I literally just somehow had to manage. Again, I don't want to make a big fuss, and I never did make a big fuss out of it. But I knew going into the race, it definitely puts a bit of handbrake on me, and I just had to somehow work around it. Even, I guess that's probably what you call mental toughness. Like mentally, I had to prepare myself. This is just a weakness I have, and I don't want to, of course, not tell everybody else this is, that. So maybe if I would have told them, they would have put the hammer even down more on the run. So I don't know, but. Yeah, that was good. So I'm not, I think it was good. I mean, the first bunch is always the thing for me where the race hasn't even started. The race basically starts for me coming off that first bunch, right? That's where I feel like where we all sort of be able to, to free up and do our thing. I almost feel like they need to change the starting times to make it a bit more fair race. Like have us ladies doing a separate start to the men. I don't know, maybe it's a dumb idea, but I was like, oh, that would be amazing. Imagine having just the girls and then the guys
just racing each other. That would be really interesting, wouldn't it? There's no other sort of drafting or sort of tactics that go on there so much. It's just you and you're looking at each other as you play your cards or not. No, that's awesome. So will you be back? Will Simone Maier be back on the start line to try and make it number 5? 5 from 5 in the last 5 starts.
Yeah, I don't know yet. It's very tempting, but I can't say, not even 50% yet. Like it's been a really good season, or I don't know, this summer it's been pretty good with winning the World Champs with Maier, and that was last winter. I've got few other things I'd love to focus, put more energy and time into it. So I'm not sure if that is possible to do it all, because I don't know what I also learned over the years. I guess it comes with experience that when to be good at one, like if you want to be the best, you need to put it. I go like 100%, which in the past I've done 50 here, whatever, the challenge Wanaka, then coast, then other events. And since I started focusing on one thing, I feel like I get a lot more out of me, like, to be the best. I want to put the best effort in. So I don't know. I will have to see how this year plans out. Yeah. Sorry, that's a long answer.
That's a maybe. Right? That's a maybe.
Could be yes.
It could be. Well, we look forward to seeing whether we can get Simone Maier back on that start line one more time and get away from that Serpentine Beach there. But Simone, congratulations from us all, from everybody in the Coast to Coast fraternity. I guess it's an amazing feat, like I say, for anybody to get across there in one day, to do it and with such style and grace as you do, and speed is just downright impressive. So congratulations on title number 4.
Yeah, well done. And go and enjoy basking in your glory. We're all in awe of your effort and what you do to you almost make it, well, you make it look easy. So well done. Keep doing what you do and enjoy relaxing.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on the podcast. Thanks.
Yeah, good job.
See you, Simone.
See you.
Nice work.
Individuals, unbelievable, right? Yeah. Just sometimes I don't know. I mean, anybody that's been involved in Coast to Coast, anybody who's been across in 2 days, or even if they've had a one-day attempt or whatever they've done, you just got to take your head off for those people at the front of the field, right?
They're very impressive, aren't they? Simone just puts her life and soul and energy. That's a month without working. She's just focusing on just that: train, recover, eat, sleep. And away she goes. And
you see how efficiently they do it. You see some of the footage that the Coast media capture along the way, and especially up through Goat Pass and things, how effortlessly they bounce across the rocks, through the boulder sections, all of those sort of things, a lot of training, a lot of effort, but, just peak fitness.
Well, it just showed, like, if you compare me running a elite marathon at the Olympics, if you put somebody like a Joe Average running next to Simone Maier across the Goat Pass, then you realize how fast these people are actually going. They do make it look really, really easy. So, it's impressive.
It surely is. Now, of course, we are live and we've got plenty of people logged on here joining us. So thank you very much for joining us for the last episode of season 4. But please feel free to throw a shout out, some feedback, something that maybe you saw over the weekend. Congratulations to someone. We'll keep an eye on the comments and keep it coming. But quickly, before we go to our next guests, Rich, let's talk about you. Let's talk about the old man who pulled his pants back on again and his shoes and had another crack, mate. Again, I'm in awe of you as always. But what happened? How'd it go? What happened at the start?
What happened at the start? Yeah,
you had your onesie on.
I have my onesie on. It's a fantastic piece of equipment, isn't it? No, it had the onesie on at the start line, so that was nice and warm. And managed to get through that start banner first as well, which is always the goal.
I heard you got the whole shot 2 days in a row.
Exactly. There was a bit of that going on. So, yeah, and then just slowly drifted back through the field on that run, basically. And but that was fine. And
did you run the pace you wanted to run?
I was running as fast as I kind of needed to, I guess. Yeah. Trying to keep in touch with all those fast guys up the front. It was about a group of 10 of them, and then there was a few others, and then it was me. Just, yep, that's right, there and thereabouts, and then jumped on the bike and away we went.
I was at that transition, that first transition there, and you were probably, like we were just talking before, you think you're about 20th or something, and you were a little bit back when you entered under the banner, but by the time you exited on the bike, were you 4th or 5th or something? Like it was a pretty efficient transition going on.
Yeah, well, an old dog's got a few tricks there. I can't let them all go.
Good. No, we'll come back and talk some more about you. But meantime, we're going to be in a mic, are we?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, that's my job. Wait, no, that's my job. Okay, I got that. I've got that. I'll get that. Ben, Mike, welcome.
How are you getting on, team?
Good, guys. Yeah, good.
That's awesome. So good to have you with us today. It's been awesome to, I guess, kind of know your journey and also see you guys cross the finish line. How good. So tell us a bit more about yourselves. So tell us about, I guess, what preparation was for you, and then maybe some of the hurdles that were in your way to actually make it to the start line.
Yeah, well, I suppose the first hurdle was actually convincing Dad to do it with me. So I think giving it to him as a birthday present was probably the easiest way to do it. So I couldn't
good
really
job. Well played.
Yeah. But we actually entered 2 years ago. So we started off with the 2022 Coast to Coast aim, but hit a couple of hurdles that year. You could probably detail them more if you want to.
Yeah. Obviously, one of the big hurdles was my physiological state. I bought a Garmin watch, and when I started training, it told me my fitness age was 70. I am 62, and the birthday present was for my 60th birthday, which I couldn't refuse. And but over the training, I got my fitness age according to the Garmin, which works on VO2 max, which I think is pretty dodgy science probably, but got down to 58, which was that's a journey in itself, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I did fall off my bike once and broke my ribs, and then I had a Achilles tendinopathy, which took me away from running for about 3 months. So there certainly were some hurdles, which is obviously not surprising at my age, I guess.
And your son is a physio, is that right, Ben?
My son's a physio, yes. So I've got some good physio connections, and my Achilles I must say, my Achilles journey was wonderfully managed by Ben and his mates, including Sharon Kearney from Performance Physio. It was just so that was, I have a newfound appreciation for physiotherapy.
Yeah, good job.
Main issue being with me being a physio, he's a doctor, so he doesn't really need to listen to me.
but a hierarchy in the.
What does he know?
I do what I'm told.
Yeah, good job. So were you standing on the start line injury free, ready to roll?
Yeah, I remember you, Richard, very early on. You said, we'll get you to the start line. And I thought, well, I want to get to the finish line. But you're absolutely right. Getting to the start line is the big journey. And then it happens from there. But yeah, so I was good. My Achilles were good and my knees were good, which had also been problems when I started. So that was a successful journey in that respect.
Yeah, good stuff. So can you guys describe the most memorable moment of the race for both of you and why?
I think probably for both of us, the big challenge was the day one. So getting through Goats Pass before that cutoff. So all in all, my day was finished up at about 9:30, and then you just had the anxious wait to see how your old man got through. So come 7 o'clock to see him coming down that last river ride, to turn around and come through the chute was probably the most memorable part. I don't know if he remembers it, if we blacked out by that stage or not.
6:45, actually, just to be precise.
7 o'clock the cutoff, isn't it? Is that right?
7:30. Yeah, there are many memorable moments, but I think Ben's absolutely right. One of the things I was most concerned about was I could actually finish this whole journey, a long journey, by not meeting the cutoffs. And so getting to Doreen Creek with an hour and a half up my sleeve was absolutely just fantastic, even though I felt like rubbish. That was just fantastic to do that. But I should mention one other memorable moment on the Friday night after that, so that we'd had the first day with the bike and the run. We were just about to go to bed, and we couldn't find the transponder. And it turns out that the Velcro on the transponder, which goes around your ankle, had got stuck on the on your some of your kayak gear, which we'd packed in the car. Oh, no. And so it took us about 3 hours to find that thing. So we didn't have much sleep on that night. So that was very memorable. But we got there in the end. But I must say, just getting through those, the mountain run was really, really hard for me. But getting to those cutoffs without ruining the whole weekend for us, sort of turning us all back was absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And so rewarding. Ben, you must have been on the full send mode on your bike just to give Mike an opportunity to do his best run that he possibly could.
Yeah, that was my whole aim. All I was thinking before I started was I just got to give him as much time as possible. And then so by the end of it, my quads were cramping and I looked terrible running up to hand over the thing to him. And then he spent 10 minutes telling me where he's parked the car.
Well, the parking at Aikens was terrible, so I had to explain how to find the car. before I went on my run. So that was
Okay, so there's a hot tip for next year for
exactly,
people
yeah.
is maybe on somehow
Take a photo,
take
video?
a photo or something, send it to something. Like, yeah.
Yeah, good job.
Put a flag on it.
That's right.
But Ben,
that's right.
Ben is an athlete. He's very quick, and so he got me on the run before 9:30, I think, in the morning. So it gave me those cutoffs. It gave me much more time to get there.
Yeah, fantastic.
In contrast to Simone, who you've just been speaking to, my run was really, really slow by all accounts, but we got there.
But that's the thing. That's the beauty of this event, isn't it? It's your own challenge. You're trying to do it for yourself, but also it's also the camaraderie that goes with that as well within the event. Did you have other people that are sort of bouncing off and cheering each other on and helping out throughout that mountain run, or was it a bit more solo for you? How did it go for you?
It was both. The people were just fantastic. Then, and the final bike I did down that horrible road into the easterly, there was just so much camaraderie. People, because constantly I was being passed by people on both the mountain run and the bike, but they were just so supportive and so helpful, and certainly the case on the mountain run. So in the up the Deception, we were crossing rivers together, and it was just fantastic. So everyone was part of the same journey. As I got over the hill and down the Minga, I actually found myself in wide open spaces with no one else about, which was a bit lonely. But it just, I must say, the attitude of the competitors is just wonderful. It's very supportive.
Yeah, so good. So in reality, the race is actually a really small part of the Kathmandu Coast to Coast journey, isn't it? So what has been the most rewarding aspect of your training for this event? And how has it impacted your life? Clearly, you've gone from being a 70-year-old to a 58-year-old, so that's pretty good. But are there any other elements of it?
Well, I think that sort of illustrates things. So a fitness journey, it's been a great. So when Ben on my 60th birthday said, you can either be a team member of a 2-person 2-day coast to coast, or I can teach you how to surf, or both. I said both. And mostly because the coast to coast was such a long way away that I thought it might never happen. But it's been, in retrospect, this side of the race, it's the most wonderful birthday present. So it's been fantastic in many respects, both in terms of my personal growth, the challenge, one of the biggest the biggest physical challenge I've ever faced, I think, and also working with Ben over this time has been fantastic.
Awesome. And what about you, Ben? How does any sort of key takeaways for you from this experience?
Yeah, I think I did it a few years ago with the 2-day individual. And I think and that's sort of why I was keen to get Dad into it, was the actual training for it. Like seeing that part of New Zealand is pretty amazing. So just being able to spend those weekends with the old man, going up that sort of way and checking out parts of New Zealand is pretty cool.
So what about next year? What's Mum doing, or have you got a sister, Ben, or have you got what happens next year?
She's shot away to the UK though, so she's escaped that one. Yeah, I was thinking for his 65th, I might sign him up to the longest day and just see how it goes.
Well, there we go. The 3-person team. What's your bike riding? Seems like it was going pretty well there, Mike. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe the bike of his downhill will be fine, and there's no easterly. A nor'wester would be great. Yeah, then I might consider it.
Good stuff. So, is our name on the ballot for next year?
No, not just yet.
No, okay.
I'm having a bit of a break. We're having a bit of a break, but
good.
Who knows in the future? We shall see.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
No, well done, team. So good. Great to be able to see you across the finish line, and that's a great big old box that you've ticked, and super rewarding when you're sort of, am I going to make those cutoffs? And basically, you executed your plan of attack, and it all come good.
Great. Thanks,
Tim.
Good job. Thanks for joining us, and all the best for the next adventure.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks.
I'd like to say that would be a cool thing to do with my father. My father and I did a lot of motor racing together,
right?
And hopefully one day we will again soon too. But I'm not sure that I'd ever get him across the coast to coast. How about you?
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Like, my dad was a farmer, retired sort of thing. So the old knees and things are probably not what they used to be. But yeah, I don't know. It'd be good to convince them.
Pretty special though, right?
Yeah.
Pretty special to do that.
Yeah, together.
So, mate, you were, like I said before, you were like 4th or 5th out on the bike into that lead bike.
Oh, we're going to go through this,
mate. We're going to go step by step. I want to know what happened.
Everyone's going to be sick of this. They're going to be chiming out. Look at the numbers going down.
Well, okay. Here's why I want to go to this bike ride, right? Because I was privileged enough to see the race from places that Joe blogs don't get to see it, right? I was lucky enough to be part of the official media team and get invited into the media van and things, which essentially puts you in the van on that first bike ride.
Quite a big deal. You've done very well there.
Oh, mate, I'm a big deal. I tell you. You just remember that when we come to negotiating time. But anyhow, no, we won't go there yet, will we? I get to this bunch. I catch up to this bunch, and here's Mr. Richard Greer in this bunch. You know, how many people were in that? Did you have 20? Did you have
something of 20, 16 to 20, something like that?
And it's all quiet on the wharfront. Everybody's riding along there, and then we pull up, we open the van door, and we click, click, click with the camera. Well, the minute the cameras come out, people out there, I tell you, the minute Richard realizes the media van's here, there's cameras pointing, he's into it, and he's directing the bunch. He's yelling at them to take a turn now, to do this. And old Coach Richard here, straight into it when the camera was there, weren't you?
It's funny as that. I did apologise to them as soon as you disappeared. Sorry, guys. Apologies. You can all step down now. You've done really well. Thanks for that. Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, I mean, there was 4 young guys that jumped off the front of through Kamara. So we, I was on their wheel and let them go. It was like, we'll see them back in 10 or 20 minutes. They did awesome. They were like,
never came back.
They put 4 minutes into us, and we worked really hard together as a group. And probably cooked a few of the team, but they did really well. It was cool. Like, the race was on. There was we had sort of some work to do, and it meant that there was an impetus to sort of keep riding. No one was sitting in. Everyone was doing their bit, which was cool. So,
did it need it? Did it need a bit of a little bit of encouragement to really get it going, or was it okay as it was?
I think we needed a bit of coaching just to make sure we were smooth, sort of thing. Yep. And, in a group, there's people of different abilities.
Yep.
So I guess one of the things with that ride is it's up and down. And some of the times, some of the ups cook a few people. They're getting a bit tired, so it sort of strings out in a long line. But I think one of the things we did well was actually let's restart that rotation and get going again once it started to sort of slow down and rather than just sort of sitting in one long line again. So, I mean, and everyone was really encouraging. Everyone was helping each other out and cheering each other on. So it was really good positive place to be.
And that's what it's about, isn't it? Especially in that first bunch ride. And we talk about that when we're doing the Wednesday night stuff leading up, bunch ride teaching people how to communicate, read the room essentially, and get that driving along. So it was really good to see when I did pull up. It was good to see, and they responded, and that's what was really good to see was the response there. And that was a really tight, neat bunch that was rotating really well. It was pretty nice to see.
Yeah, no, it's good, and that's why kudos to those lads that went off the front and stayed away because that's very impressive.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Good job. Well, speaking of impressive performances, we need to talk to Estelle next.
We're going to Estelle. Look at that.
Estelle Arundell. So Estelle won the 2-day women's individual by an absolute whisker. Had a fantastic storming second day, which I'm pretty keen to hear about. Angus?
I've got an apology to make before we start and go any further. Estelle, I need to apologise to you because when all three of you fabulous girls come across the line, we'd done a bit of maths really quickly, and I genuinely thought Bex had won. And so when I interviewed you, Estelle, we talked about you getting second and Bex winning and things, and it wasn't till a little bit longer, a wee bit later on, that we found out that actually the winner of the 2023 Kathmandu Coast to Coast 2-day individual was actually you. So congratulations, and I apologise for getting that wrong. The media don't always get it right, I tell you.
I was the same though. I thought that she had won as well. I think I was the first person that went up to her and I said, I think that you won, Bex, because she came in so soon after me, and I knew that I needed to get just over 5 minutes on her on that second day to win. And I thought that I knew that I'd caught up 2 minutes to her at the beginning because she was in a wave before me on the first bike of the second day. So when I caught up to her on the kayak, I thought, okay, I've got 3 minutes for this rest of this race to try and gain on her. But I thought at the finish line that she came in before that as well. So it wasn't surprising either way. I knew it was going to be extremely close when I was on the bike, so it could have gone either way. I sort of finished and I wasn't really sure either. But it's interesting when you said, that Bex came first and I came second, because I sort of realized that I'd been gunning for sort of trying to win or get on the podium for so long. But then I finished and I sort of realized that actually just knowing that you push yourself as hard as you can is more important than the placing, because I came second and I thought, oh, Rebecca 100% deserves to win. Like, I was so pleased for her, because I thought to myself, I genuinely couldn't push any harder than I did. That was sort of my limit. So that second place, I was super happy with it. And then when I found out I was first, I was happy as well. So yeah.
That's awesome. You always knew that second day was going to be your day, like your paddling is your thing. Was there any pressure on you so how far, tell me a little bit about the first day. How far was Bex in front? How far back were you? And my question really is, was there any pressure for you standing on the start line of the second day?
So I was really surprised at the end of the first day, to be honest, with how I did, because I'd come out of a moon boot at the end of October. I'd been on crutches for 2 months, and that was sort of my start to the season. And I sort of had to pull out a lot of races and slowly build up the running, but I just struggled with the running injuries over and over the summer. Every time I tried to build it up, another injury, sort of dealt with that, kind of got to the next thing. So I wasn't expecting much from the running on the first day, and I knew that was going to be a bit of a weakness for me. And when I was on the run, there were so many amazing, capable women in my bunch in the first ride that I thought, oh, this is going to be really tough. Like, this is going to be an epic race for the women. And then the transition was just so hectic, because we were a massive bunch, that I actually thought there were several women ahead of me on the run. And I thought to myself, oh, you're not going to be as competitive as you wanted to be. But I just sort of tried to counteract that with, you don't know what the situation is. It's never over until it's over. Don't let that impact on how hard you're going to push yourself. But then I did really well on the uphill. Rebecca and I were sort of running shoulder to shoulder on the way up. I had sort of known from my training to sort of stick to the left of the river if I could, on the river right. So I went up that way, but there was a point where she didn't follow me, and she actually followed some men to the right. And I thought at the time, she's going to lose a bit of time there. So I gained a bit on her. But then on the downhill, I just really struggled with an asthma attack. So I sort of wheezed and coughed my way down the pass. I had my inhalers with me, and I'd done really well with my asthma management leading up to the race. But, hurdles happen. And I just tried to push through that as much as I could, but it was definitely at the limit when I finished the first day. So I was really surprised by that 5 minutes. I was a 5 minute second behind Rebecca. And then I thought, if I was able to work with my weaknesses that way, then I knew that I had a good shot at the win for the second day, because I kind of realized that I could really push through a lot, and I'd sort of been through a lot to get to the start line. Can definitely relate with Mike with his injuries. I don't even have age as my excuse. That's the worst part. I'm 25. He's got a few years on me. So there was a bit of pressure, but it was actually, the great thing about this race is that the camaraderie between the competitors, even on the pointy end. So I'd sort of had a bit of a chat with the other women like Rebecca and Mary Gray at the start line. And, that helped to sort of diffuse any tension or anything. And I was really great to see the support for each other that we had, even though we knew that we were each other's biggest sort of rivals. And my dad sort of said to me, "Give it hell," was his words right before I started. And that became my little mantra for the day. Every time I was struggling, I just thought about his words. But yeah.
I caught up with all three of you on the start line of day number 2 there, and that's what caught my eye is that how close that top 3 were, and I was like, man, this is like the race of the day. These females here, and again I could see Bex was in that group just in front here, and I just talked to her, and I came back to talk to you and Mary together, and you could really see that there was some genuine appreciation to each other going on there, and that we were here to compete, and I'm here to buddy put you in the gutter. But at the same time, I just, it's just going to be a great day out. And you could really see that from you girls on the start line.
Oh, so much respect. I think so much respect for each other, definitely, the efforts that we put out there. And just the complimenting of each other while we were going. Rebecca was sort of making conversation with me when she went past me on the run. Jessica Rathjen was just an incredible paddler on the second day. She just smoked me. But she was sort of making chat as she went past, and sort of, it was really nice actually to have that sort of almost sort of casualness to it, even though it wasn't very casual.
That's like you're dying, but trying to make it look like it's all good. So back to my question, were you nervous on the start of the second day?
I was, because you don't know what I knew that I'd built my paddling a lot, especially with all the running injuries. I'd had that time to build my kayaking. So I was sort of confident with myself on the river, but you just don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how the rapids are going to react, especially because the river had risen the way it did and then fallen. I'd done about 7 gorge trips over the summer, but I couldn't say that I knew what the river was going to be like because it was at a different flow. I didn't know what had happened in that week with the flooding. With the bike, you just don't know what's going to happen. My biggest fear at the coast was actually a bike crash. I was really worried about that because I'd done a lot of bunch riding, but I just, you just don't know what's going to happen really. Anything can happen. So I was nervous about that.
Yeah, for sure. Have you got a piece of advice for someone that's considering taking on the Kathmandu Coast to Coast for the first time?
Definitely focus on the paddling more than you think you need to. I think that it's like the first thing to go when people are sort of a bit stressed about the training is the river skills and the paddling strength. I trained with the Dunedin Kayak Racing Club, and that was just such a great decision. I sort of learnt in quite tippy boats. So when I moved into the multi-sport boats, it made things on the river much easier. And I'd recommend joining clubs. I joined the kayak club, I joined the Dunedin Cycling Club. Then when I moved to Ashburton, I joined the Tynwald Cycling Club, and they gave me so much advice, so much experience. They were fantastic cyclists, fantastic paddlers. And also when you get injured, just really embrace that cross-training life. Embrace the rehab. I had to really get into the swimming. Did months of swimming intervals, hard out, lots of long swimming sessions in the pool, which wasn't as nice and fun as all the running, the trails and things. But I just had to know that trust in the process. And when you feel like you're getting sick of the training, don't be afraid to sort of take time out and dampen the training for a week or two, sort of get the enjoyment back into it. Yeah,
good job. Advice. So you're paddling down the river, you're trying to put as much time into Bex as you possibly can, but you can't seem to shake her.
Yeah, every time I looked around, she was still there. And actually, Sam Manson said in his speech at the prize giving, don't look behind you. And I think that was a huge take point for me from the race, is actually in the kayak, I was focusing too much on where she was comparative to me. And that shouldn't have been my big question. It should have been, how are you doing comparative to yourself? I sort of lost that a little bit on the kayak. So that would have been, I feel like she just put up such a great fight, really, honestly. Mad respect for her.
So good. So as the winner of the 2-day, you actually get an entry into the longest day. Is that correct?
Yes.
So does that mean you need to be back for next year?
That wasn't on the cards. That wasn't on the cards. I'm going to be traveling for 6 weeks over December, January. So I wasn't really planning. I'm planning on being part of the Coast to Coast community for life, but wasn't really planning on next year as such. But because it's a free entry, it's just almost too good to pass up, really. I feel like, I don't know. I'm still sort of umming and ahhing, but leaning towards just rocking up and having a good time, seeing how it goes on.
Good job. Nice work. Well, look forward to seeing what unfolds there. But obviously you need to make sure that you enjoy your travels as well and not sort of trying to squeeze in paddling and biking amongst that as well.
I guess most people will say that, we're quite active people, the people that do coast to coast. So wasn't really going to sit down for 6 weeks on holiday. I'm probably going to be quite active doing stuff. So we'll see how we go.
Might be better. Yeah, good job. Awesome, Estelle. Well, so good. Congratulations on a fantastic event. Well done on the way you raced and everyone else that was sort of a part of that female 2-day individual race. It's so good to see some close racing, and just the way that you guys conducted yourself was amazing. So all the best for your next adventure, and congratulations, and enjoy basking in your glory from a fantastic weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks, Estelle.
Good job.
Yeah.
Again, I go back to the fact, just the way that they all finished together at New Brighton Beach was just, the script was just perfect. They just all arrived there together, and they were all just so happy. Estelle, we talk about what it takes to race at an elite level, and when you win the 2-day individual, that's an elite an elite level, and there's a lot of training going there. Estelle was telling us just before that she is 6th year med school to be a doctor. Like, to balance all of that is incredible, right?
There's a lot going on there.
There's a lot going on.
Pretty impressive, but also just the injuries to actually get to the start line with that, and to be able to run so well was pretty awesome, isn't it?
Speaking of run, and I'm going to make this quick this time, but we'll skip through the run a little bit. Your run. I want to talk about two things quickly. Transition. Look, if anybody wants to see how any transition is done right, get over to our Team CP Facebook page, scroll through all the stuff that we put up over the coast to coast. There's quite a few sections that capture Richard going through transitions, and they are fabulously nailed to a T. But the run transition, you basically got off your bike. I don't even know what did you do with your helmet. You put that on the bike, did you?
No, I threw it on the bike rack on the way, but knew where the support crew were going to be, so that was useful. And then had my shoes on already, so that does make it much easier. But I have to say on that point is that my transition was good for me for what I was trying to achieve. But sitting down and having a banana and getting a foot rub, there's nothing wrong with that either.
I 100% agree. But you hardly even acknowledge. Well, you acknowledged everybody, but you were just like on a focus. You basically put this arm out the side here, which Jake hold the strap of your bag, and you put your arm through while you were running through, and just he let it go, and the rest is history. You carried on.
I would have loved to stay for a chat, but I was probably in a little bit of hurting at that stage. So just
you were already in a lot of hurt. And so where I'm going to go with this next is, I suppose, I've never seen Richard Greer hurt so much when he got to the finish line. You got over that run and you arrived at the finish line there. And, mate, I don't know that I've ever seen you, hurt like you were hurting them.
I think Estelle put it the right way. Actually, it didn't matter where I got. I knew I gave it everything. And that was probably summed up my run, to be honest. It probably didn't go exactly to plan on a few different elements, but I just kept giving it and gave it some more. When I tripped over down the lower down and fully face planted and then jumped back up, couldn't really get back up because it cramped in both legs, sort of thing. That would have been pretty funny to watch, but
on the outside.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So no, that's what it's all about. As long as you know that you've given it everything, then you can be proud of your performance. So definitely was asking.
And roughly, where did your time stack up compared to other years? Was it the same sort of time? Did you hit the time target?
About the same. I would have liked to be, but everyone likes to be a little bit quicker, don't they? So it was about the same as the last time around. So I guess that's the thing as an old man, trying to pretend I've still got it.
You did well. You did well. Where are we going next, mate? Who do you want to?
Shall we? Is Cliff on board? Is Cliff there?
Let's just scroll down here. Look,
Cliff is there.
Hold on there.
Let's have a chat to Cliff, shall we? Cliff, come in. Cliff is a fantastic athlete from Canada, but Cliff's actually currently hanging out in Australia. Is that correct?
Yeah, just hanging out roadside in Australia right now.
Awesome. So good. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us. That's fantastic. So you got the family on a bit of a family holiday after dragging the team across to New Zealand. So I guess that leads me to my first question is, tell me about your last, 6 months of build up. It hasn't necessarily gone to plan. So you're coming from Canada to do this race. Tell me about that last 6 months of build up.
Yeah. So as you know, because you've been coaching me a bit there. So we started off training, and then I kind of informed you that we were having a kid. So that kind of throws some spanners in the work there. And then
number 2. So you've already got a little one, and
then I told you that I was starting a new career. So that was another one.
Yep. So did that.
And then we moved province. So we moved up province.
So you moved house as well.
Yeah. So a lot going on there, and trying to squeeze in a bit of training in between. So, but I think we also need to add into that, Cliff, is that it was not like it was a New Zealand summer that you just go training, and you didn't just move. You moved to a different place in Canada, but Canada's a chilly place in winter. So where did you move to? Yeah. So we moved up northern BC, which is so all the lakes are frozen, rivers are frozen. So there was no paddling. So
you were talking -20, -30 kind of range. Is that sort of what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yep. So the kayaking didn't go to plan. But we had a solution for that. We booked the what did we book? We booked a trip down the Waimakariri when we got to New Zealand.
That's right.
Only to have that cancelled though. So
that was cancelled as well. Exactly. But you weren't completely green. This wasn't your first time at the coast to coast. I guess that's the other thing you've done the 2-day tandem with your wife Brayley a few years back, didn't you?
Yeah. So I think that helped a lot. Particularly on the mountain run and the on the kayak. So yeah, that helped.
Yes, yeah, and that's a big one, isn't it? Coming from overseas, like you actually had an understanding of what the race was actually about and what it required. Like no matter of watching YouTube videos or talking to other people was ever going to get you to understand that. So you knew what that mountain run was like, and you knew had an understanding of that paddle as well for a start. You didn't get a chance to
get on it beforehand, but that was what it was. So were you nervous standing on the start line? How were you feeling?
Yeah, I was. It was a bit of a mix of nerves and excitement. I was just nervous that I wouldn't get through the kayak. And so the first ride and the run went to plan.
Yeah.
And then the kayak, I guess it went the way it should have gone. But I think, did I just make the cutoff? I just made it by a couple of minutes, I think.
Like by absolute whisker, I think, didn't you? And the race plan was always ride your bike well, run like you stole it, and then get into the paddle with enough time to hopefully get through that cutoff in a low river with a headwind in a barracuda. Get down there.
Yeah.
So you did very well. Were you? Did you know that you were that close to the cutoff?
Yeah, I did. So about I think it was about 2 hours to go. I don't know how far in distance, but I realized that hey, I'm not going to make this if I keep going at this pace. But so I picked it up as much as I could, but and it looked like I was going to make it just in time. But I was getting to the end of the gorge there, and I couldn't see the bridge. I'd forgotten, it was kind of windy there, and I thought, oh no, I'm not going to make this. I can't see the bridge, and I think I almost thought that was game over there. But you turn that corner and the bridge appears, and it was all good.
Fantastic. So good. Like the thing is with this longer stay, it's different from the 2 day. It's an elite event, and those cutoffs are extremely tight, and for a reason, from a safety perspective and getting people off the river before dark, etc. And this year 60 athletes didn't finish that, so 25% of the field actually didn't finish. So again, kudos to you for actually making it through with a new child, with a new job, with a new house in the Arctic virtually. So what advice would you give to other international competitors coming to tackle the Kathmandu coast to coast for the first time from overseas?
If they just solely were focused on the longest day, they had to come down just once and do that. I think don't underestimate the mountain run and the kayaking. I think those are the two. The mountain run is tough because you have all these the boulders and then the steep inclines, and it's not just running, right? So it's tough there. For sure. Definitely get on top of your running across the trails like that.
And probably part of that is get here as early as you can, so you can actually see that. And if your kayak course is cancelled because the weather isn't right, hopefully you've got another day you can transfer to.
Absolutely, yeah. If you can get there 3 or 4 weeks before the race, then do that. For sure.
Because because that was the thing for you. The kayak course is cancelled, and then you had another opportunity. Was it Wednesday to be able to do some paddling? But actually, we kind of decided, well, actually, you're better off just being fresh and ready to go rather than going through and doing that and then be a bit tired, and actually that might put you back further.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, we I think we decided against doing that Wednesday run down the Waimakariri.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a good choice.
Yep, yeah, good job. What was the most memorable moment of the race for you?
The finish line was good. But I think when I got around there and saw the bridge in the Waimakariri that I'd made the cutoff. Yep. Because I knew that if I made the cutoff, I could make the ride into Christchurch.
Yep.
So that was definitely the big moment for me, for sure.
Yeah, good job. Yeah. Did you see the family there?
Yeah, I did. I didn't think they were going to be there, but yeah, I saw them there, and got to carry Ezra across the finish line when we got to the finish line, so that was good.
That's very impressive. That's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you must have some brownie points you need to repay.
Yes.
Brayley, your lovely wife. There must be a few in debt there.
Yeah, for sure. I think we were talking to another guy, and he wants to do it next year, and he has a kid and a wife, and I was with another guy, and we all agreed that you need an understanding wife if you want to do the coast to coast. For sure, I probably need to repay her. Maybe she can go and do the longest day.
Can we bleep that out? Cliff, will you be back? Will you be back to do this thing again, or is that sort of tick, job done?
Yeah, I think I might put it on the shelf for a while. I would like to do what Ben and Mike did, actually. That'd be really cool in maybe 15 years' time.
So you're the old man.
Yeah, me as the old man. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. No, that's awesome. And what are you doing to celebrate? What's on now? Have you got any other adventures coming up, or is actually we're just going to play it cool for a bit?
Yeah, no, I've started looking at stuff in Canada now, so we'll see. There's some events there that are pretty cool, so I might go and have a shot at those.
Awesome. Good job.
Yeah.
Well, so good. Thanks so much for bringing the family over, and super congratulations for a fantastic effort, and well done for squeaking through those cutoffs and making it. And yeah, well done. Super stoked for you.
Thanks. Thank you, Richard. Thanks for all your help.
Yeah, good job. Well done, Cliff.
Cheers.
See you, Cliff.
Bye.
Internationals a big part of the Kathmandu Coast to Coast, actually, to be fair, and you know, we had quite a collection of internationals that we were supporting throughout the weekend, which was fabulous. You know, we had our 6 Irish and our Americans and Australians and Cliff as well. In fact, Cliff actually rode my bike. Actually, to be fair, he was actually on my
that's on why I went so fast.
It
wasn't that fast at the end.
Probably the fastest it's been in a long time, that's for sure. You know, we had them, and just that. What some of those people had to go through to get here, and there was a lot of flight issues and luggage issues and a lot of stress leading up to. But again, some of our internationals came. They were here for some for 4 weeks beforehand, some for 2 weeks beforehand, and they've had a fabulous time.
Oh, they really have. It's cool to just get them together and everybody meeting each other. A lot of them went traveling down south and meet each other down here in various places as well.
The Instagram post post-COVID, post coast to coast, everybody seemed to end up in Tekapo, and no, it was great.
So no, that's awesome. So if anybody's out there listening to this and wants some support, we've got 20 2-day spots and 10 longest day spots basically for next year. So get in touch with us and we'll put you on the list and we'll figure that out. So just keep that in mind as well if that's something that you need to try and help you achieve this coast to coast.
Just 20?
Yeah, that's right. We've had last year we had what 3 years worth of people sitting out there waiting. So this was a bit bigger this year. So
it was a big. But you're right. You know, obviously, let's just quickly talk about that. The ballot closed this afternoon.
As it's done. Yep.
So it's done. Hopefully, everybody got their ballot in. Richard, don't panic. I know that. This year for you was 9 years competing over the time. And we talked about this actually on the way over, that made it only fair that you come back for your 10th. So just in case you didn't get one in, we've thrown one in on your behalf, mate, because we want to make sure you get 10. Don't worry, we've got you sorted.
Okay,
so,
thanks.
But hopefully everybody has got their entry in that are interested for the ballot. And like Richard said, if you get in and you need some support, look us up, find us, and maybe you'll get on that wait list as well, because it turned into a wait list as well, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Nice work. Shall we have a chat to Lucy and Trevor? I'm really looking forward to this.
Good evening, Lucy. Good evening, Trevor.
Hi, guys.
How are we doing?
Thank you for waiting patiently back there.
How are you feeling now? Are we still on a high? Are we sort of come down from that, or how are we feeling at the moment, team?
It's the body. Interestingly, immediately after the adrenaline carried, and I had that Sunday and Monday sort of, you know what? Gee, I'm feeling pretty good actually.
Really?
Oh wow! Have I paid for that? I am now feeling every bit as old. Yeah, I'm 59, and I think I went the other way. I got to 70-year-old fitness. In the last
Hope you don't have a Garmin watch, Trevor.
But still getting vertical and functioning, so it's not too bad. Lucy,
good. And what about you, Lucy?
I certainly ate a lot and slept a lot last week, and it was a really big work week, which wasn't great timing from me. So I kept finding myself in meetings at kind of 11:30 a.m. and just saying, "I'm sorry, everyone, I'm off to bed. I'll see you in a couple of hours." I think once I've been eating every half an hour, my body got quite used to that, actually.
Yes, so good. So you guys initially lined up with as a tandem team, didn't you? And then obviously the event was cancelled, and then you thought, no, we're going to change this around a little bit. We're going to do 2 individual entries. Why was that, and how did that actually change your build-up and actually the event for you?
I think Lucy can tell the truth on this.
So we started off in tandem because I knew I couldn't do it without Trevor. And we've always been pretty good at running and biking together and pretty synchronized. But once we started training in tandem, he was much faster than me running, and we hated being in that double boat together. The divorce duo nearly had us.
Yeah.
So we decided to go our separate ways.
Okay. Who was steering?
Bit of wisdom, don't do the duo as novice, I don't think. It's just asking to ruin your marriage, really. So,
There was some seriously testing moments, even out there on the estuary together in the kayak. It was like, oh my God, really? Do I need him critiquing my style from the side?
Trevor was at the back.
He just wasn't listening, I'll tell you.
Yeah, good. So how did that change the individual? How did that change your training, and then how do you think that changed your race day?
Well, it worked pretty well for me going individual because poor Trevor got pretty injured. So we just got on with it and dealt with what we had, really.
Yeah. I think we might talk a little bit more about it later, but the tandem event, you do need some slightly more detailed synergy and planning than we actually did, other than we wanted to do it together. There were pressures, going between us. So it was quite liberating for both of us to go separate. And I'd had your wisdom from last year. And interestingly, a tiny bit of the bike and kayak fitness carried over. The running fitness goes boom with me. So what? I apparently haven't done any running ever. Yeah. And unfortunately, I got COVID in March, and I had long COVID for about 6 months where I couldn't actually get the energy. Every time I tried to do something, I was in bed, back to square one. And then I finally got through it. I felt some energy end of September, and then my Achilles got strained. So I had we're very much, we're talking elite stuff here, but it was just tedious to say the least. So you were basically thinking was free to do her thing, and with your guidance, and you did great training, really, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, and really enjoy my training. And I think we agreed. I was only ever wanting to get from one side of the country to the other in a 2-day period. But I really enjoyed the strength work. I've definitely worked out that I used to really love running. I'm never going to just run again. I like walking and running much more now. And I really love it. I love spending whole days in the hills. So that's been a epiphany for me.
So we've got Lucy on the start line that's well trained and she's ready to roll. And Trevor that's basically backing himself on his natural talent.
And thinking, oh my God, what have I done?
Whose idea was this? Whose idea?
Yes,
Hang on.
But of course, what happens, I think I knew he'd go out quite hard on the bike because, can't help himself, and he'd get away and do it.
Well, and I wanted, so my mini challenge was the Achilles I still wasn't running, but I knew I could walk on it. I'd done some hill walks, and we've got, as you get older, you network well. We've got some great advice from surgeons to physios and everything. So it was decided I could do it, but I just had to give myself as much time to do the goat pass as it could take 9 hours walking. If the Achilles went, it could have been worse. But so I pushed the bike quite hard. And I remember when I got off the bike, having not done the training properly, I'd forgotten that small element of then trying to walk. And it was, and if you want to see the polar opposite to Richard at a transition, you should have watched me. I shuffled to the chair. I groaned a bit, ate a sandwich very slowly. And then that first 3 Ks of the run to get to the river, that was a shuffle. I could have been in a dressing gown and going to the toilet at night. It was awful. It was terrible.
But, I'm then thinking I'd take him on the run because he was going to be walking and probably helicoptered out. But no, he did the run in about 6 hours. I never caught up with him.
Oh, really? Here I am visualizing you just running past him, slapping him on the bum and saying, lift your game.
Well, yeah. And I had a bit of that, but I also had the catch-22 when we're the lower end of the athletic scale. The longer you're out there, the harder it gets. There is this perverse unfairness that it's harder for...
Yeah, we have to do it harder, actually.
Yeah. You elite athletes, you got nothing.
Yeah, they don't know what it's like.
Oh, did you hear that?
I often compare it to kids and bicycles, because if you've ever picked a kid's bicycle up, a small child's only, yay tall and only weighs 30 kilos, and he's got this bike that's as heavy as heavy. And then us athletes have got these lightest carbon fiber things you can possibly have. Same thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it's strange. So I had this element of I was just nudging it as fast as I could, testing it. And there was a lovely moment, actually, just gone in the river, second drop. One of our mates is a TV3 cameraman, was Armstrong. Anyway, he's just a gorgeous man, and he was there. He was hoping I was going to fall. I knew it, but I didn't. But just to see his big smile as we just started the real goat pass, that was cool. And I just, that was my mind game, was that whole goat pass. Push it as hard as I can. That was torture, but it was good torture.
Yeah, so good. So finished the first day. Trevor, you did well. Lucy got through and completed well. Started the second day. Trevor, you're in front. Lucy is a few stages back. So what happened on the start of the second day? How did that all unfold for you guys? And obviously you got a river to paddle in individual boats rather than tandem boats now.
Yeah.
So as is the way in marriage, I told Trevor at the beginning of when we were talking about going individual that I didn't want to be with him any longer. I wanted to go individual until 2 weeks before the coast, when I'm crying about the kayak, and I turned to him and go, "Can you come with me?" So I don't want him to be there until I do, and then I really do. And so he agreed that he would wait for me to do it, so we would kayak together. And we do a pretty good kayak together apart, because I'm better on the braided and he's better in the gorge. So.
And I think this year our main goal was to try and enjoy the kayak a bit more, not being novice. So that this beautiful trip you do out west to wherever you're going, to Gorge Bridge or to Woodstock or the whole way, we've never enjoyed that drive. It's terrifying. There's bile, there's stomachache. And this year was, can we please enjoy this beautiful scenery? Anyway, so we got a little bit better. And that was cool, because it gave us I did a couple of good, I think I did 3 dry gorge runs this year, which was, that was me sort of, got this sorted. Yeah, right. But so I would, and I also quite like that manliness of, I'll look after you, little lady. I'll take you. So we come out of the Hamilton Rapids, and I'm good. I'm good. I guided my precious wife through the gorge. And then I somehow take an outside line at a bluff, and I get it so wrong. And I pretty much face plant a large mountainside. It was so, and I'm suddenly under, swim to the wrong side. There's another bluff coming up, so turn around, swim back to the other side, exhausted, drop the paddle goes by. Lucy goes by going, I'll get your paddle. And then suddenly yesterday caught up with me. I'm shell of a man, not even a man, a shell of a thing on the side. So yes.
So then I had to lead the second half of the gorge.
I was terrified.
But what was the etiquette? And it was probably different in this situation because it was actually you swimming, Trevor. But what would have been the etiquette had Lucia fallen out? Were you just a bob and wait there, was the expectation you were to get out and swim too?
We done that, but no, there is the nice side of it actually was I wanted to be there just in case. I don't know what my capabilities would have been, but once I'm out the kayak, I'm great. I'm good in the river. I'm agile, this. But no, just to be a helping hand. Things as I found, when you can suddenly lose all the logic on emptying a boat. You can do it, as I did it, totally the wrong way, lifting the whole half of the boat up, and actually managed to put a stress fracture in it as well, which made the second half of the kayak. Anyway.
Did you flex at the same time? So Lucy is waiting for you to get back in again?
Yeah.
Because you're obviously clearly so strong to be able to do that.
At that point,
that would have been a tricky marriage point. Had she
gone off and left
into the distance.
No, I wasn't going anywhere without him. And then he did sacrifice. I mean, we biked home together, and we were going pretty well. But by the end, we were going very slowly, and he could have biked much faster, but he stayed with me, and we were in a little mini bunch, and that was good. I mean, that felt like it was the spirit of the coast. Really, we teamed up with 2 other people, and there was one girl who said, "Oh no, you're going too fast for me," and we all just like, "Nah, honestly, hop on," and we will ride home together.
We're not in a hurry.
We're not in a hurry.
No, good. And I have to say, delighted to give a Team CP plug. With Richard on the Wednesday nights, we were taught some good basics of group riding. My goodness, that should be a requirement of coast to coast. Genuine, serious. My most terrifying moments were me, a fairly novice biker, trying to educate 20 or 30 hardened Sunday riders, and none of them listening. It was terrifying. That was the most. I don't know what the stats are, but to my mind, most of the injuries must be on the biking because it's carnage.
That's definitely a
thank
fair
you for
point.
what you taught us, but then not many people have that knowledge, it appears, which is
Yeah.
surprising. But
So we're riding our bikes to Christchurch, and you guys are, Lucy, you guys are working as a small group, going well, finishing off.
Yeah, really good. And we did hook them with quite a decent bunch for South Air Road, which was probably faster than I wanted to go. But the reality was that I knew that if it was just Trevor and I, then he was going to have to do the whole thing. So actually, my job was just to hang into that bunch somehow. And that was going kind of 30K. That was a good bunch.
That's all right.
And so we got literally to the first kink, and I passed the message forward that I couldn't do any more and he needed to come back and save me. And that was great. But there were a few other people in that bunch who wanted to stay with us. So then we just formed this other smaller bunch, and that was great. It was really good.
Yeah,
you're probably lucky it wasn't like Chinese whispers, and it changes by the time it gets there, and it's like I want to go another 2K an hour faster.
Yeah. Tell the man in the front I want to go faster.
But I'll tell you the lovely thing, given that we weren't trying to get, obviously podiums weren't an issue, but we got to enjoy the camaraderie, the strangers on the side of the road shouting for everyone. They had their posters for their people, obviously, but they were just, it was every one of those was a little lift into that easterly that everyone was saying there wasn't really one, but I felt there was one actually. Thank you. And it's
because you're traveling so fast, Trevor. If you'd slowed down a bit, it wouldn't have felt
that's what it was. Yes,
that was actually one of my highlights, though, was realizing when we were coming through Marshlands and so many people honking their horn and shouting out the window. I got that real feel of how much Christchurch loves this event. So I love that.
Cool.
And what was it like crossing the finish line after a couple of years at this? It was, it's been quite a journey.
Just a relief. I think we're both just like, oh, we're done. We won't be coming back. We're done.
It was also
it was amazing.
It was seeing New Brighton looking stunning, busy and buzzing was great. I had that tiny moment as you come up and you can see a few mates, and it's euphoric. You forget the pain. But I then see 50 meters of sand and a hill, and I've got my Achilles through Goat Pass, and I'm really proud. And I had that. Oh no. This is probably going to be on film as well as I do.
So I jumped on for a piggyback or something.
Yes, but we got up that bit. But no, that was a good moment, wasn't it? Yeah,
that's good.
So,
good job. That's fantastic. So my next question was, is the name of the ballot for next year? So clearly that's not going to happen.
No, we missed it.
I asked Glenn and Holly as well, can you just open it and leave it a little bit longer? Like close at 9:30, but they weren't into that. So I thought we might have been able to convince you. What's the next adventure on the cards?
I started trying to talk to Trevor about our 30th wedding anniversary in May the other day and thought maybe we could do some climbing out kind of Glenorchy way, but he wasn't keen.
Well, it was too soon. I'm still in recovery mode. But
sounds like a holiday in Fiji to me.
I'm doing the Mount Oxford half.
Good.
A cycling holiday in Mallorca or something sounds quite good.
Yeah, that's right. On electric bikes.
Around wineries.
Yeah.
No. But I think just one small point. Going back to why we did it in the first place, apart from Lucy told me we were doing it, which is fine. It was my impetus to get fit. I'm 60 this year, and as we're aware, I know I don't look a day over 62, but there's that element of fitness is harder to come by the older you get. I hadn't done I build this. I was fit-ish, but I knew I was running out of time to get fit, and it was quite a journey. Anyone out there who's getting into their 50s and used to be fit, get on with getting fit again soon, because it was hard yards of niggly injuries and all of that kind of thing. So my short-term goal is I want to run 2 or 3 times a week and enjoy it without the calf Achilles, journey of adventure. And I'm sure some things will arise, but I want to. Being slightly older, that coast to coast meant aching a lot and being hungry a lot of the time. I want to actually, this year, I want to enjoy the fitness is where I'm sort of aiming.
And that allows you to turn up and do whatever Lucy comes up with, because you're at a better level.
That's right, yes.
Which you can do together until she decides you're going to do it separately.
Yeah,
you've got it.
Well done, team. Hey, congratulations! Super stoked for you to, and super awesome to see you across that finish line. And what an amazing couple of years it's been. And yeah, enjoy reflecting on a job well done.
No, and thank you for all your help.
Yeah.
And by the way, you and Nate, you're going to be.
Yeah, you're
the
going to be the
dad's
father
combo,
and son.
without a doubt.
He's pretty keen. He enjoyed the support crew side of things. It was cool to be able to share that and share that with family. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And how many times have you said you always go from support crew to athlete, Richard?
It does. That's right.
Yeah, I can see me being support crew. I can, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Well, we may have a job for you next year, Trevor,
Well,
as a support. There we go. We
right.
could find you a place there.
Yeah, awesome.
Terrific.
Thanks, guys.
Cool. Thanks, teams. Take care.
Good to see you.
See ya.
Bye.
Yeah.
See ya, team. Bye.
Now,
So good.
so good, right? There's three things going on there that I just want to quickly cover, and one of them I don't want to. We won't. This is not really the forum, but Warren Brown's actually made a comment on our chat here that relates back to what Trevor was just saying. You know, you've got to get a grade 2 certificate to paddle. Nothing, no requirements about riding bikes, and like everybody says, it is probably one of the most dangerous places to be is on that bike. Now, that's a whole rabbit hole. That is pretty hard to license or however, whatever. All we can say is that there are plenty of opportunities out there leading up, and search them out. If not, if you're going to do coast to coast, if you haven't done it before, please get yourself involved in a club or something and do some bunch riding, because it can go wrong in such an instant.
Yeah, that's right. And learning to ride with others is obviously keeping yourself safe, but also you're keeping everybody else safe as well as part of that. But it also, the more you do it, the more you can kind of understand what's going to happen. So be in the right place, so you're less likely to fall over and all that sort of stuff as well.
And then you get the best benefit out of it too. Like you can be closer to that rear wheel and you can get that better draft and you can do all of those things. So number 2, Trevor talking about a stress fracture in his kayak. They tell me you were you needed a bilge pump. Maybe next year you're going to put an electric bilge pump in your one.
I didn't think of that. I wish they had done that. The portage tried to lift up my boat, couldn't lift up my boat. It was full of water. So the guy helped tip it out. And then he's like, oh, you probably could do a bit of duct tape back there. I was like, I don't have time for duct tape. I'll just keep pumping. So I wish I had some duct tape. It's too much drag. I can't do drag. So yeah, and I spent pretty much most of the paddle just pumping. I've got a foot pump. So pump. And then like 10 big pumps. Right, let's get going. And then it just kept coming in. I must have pumped 20 or 30 litres. So that was part of the fun.
Reasonable hole then.
It was a reasonable.
But hey, it stopped you bum getting sore and things, didn't it?
Yeah,
Keep your legs moving and things. And just quickly, thirdly, there, as they mentioned about when they were coming back into town and there was people tooting and yahooing and embracing, and that is people who knew what was going on, obviously the coast to coast, so the tune you're on. That also comes from people's appreciation of what task is at hand there, right? And what these athletes are going through to achieve. People
and what they've done.
Yeah, and what they've done to get there. People really, really appreciate that. What sums up the coast to coast, and what's really always a cool thing to see is the week odd afterwards. In fact, we were just at you won't believe this, but on the weekend I was at another beer fest. But anyway, there was a guy there walking around with his coast to coast hat on. Right. Now, of course, post coast, everywhere you see, somebody's got a hat, got a t-shirt, wearing it proudly to say, you know what? I've been a part of the coast to coast circus and I love it. And that's what just continues year after year.
And it's a badge of honor, isn't it? So good.
Well, mate, look, we have. Are
we done?
Well, we're not done with you.
Are we not?
We're not done with you, and we're not quite done yet because, as always, as per our podcast here, and especially edition 4, we've been joined each episode with Sophie Beaumont's joined us, and she's always rounded the show off for us quite nicely there. So it would be absolutely rude not to do it again and hear how Sophie's 2-day coast to coast went.
Sophie, how are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, guys. How are you going?
Very well, thank you.
Have you feel like you've got a bit of a void in your life because there's not this coast to coast sort of thing going on in your head all the time? Or are you like, oh, thank goodness?
No, there is a coast to coast shaped hole in my heart. I'm devastated.
Yeah, because it's been such a thing for such a long time, isn't it?
Oh, it's basically become my entire personality for 2 years, and I kind of don't know what to do with myself now.
And are you back running? Are you recovered? What are you up to?
Well, Angus, am I back running? Would we say it was a run that we did last night?
Hey, run a power pole, walk a power pole. That's what they say, right? That's how you start.
If it helps, I went running before, and I think Angus said you might have had the stitch. Well, I was running. I haven't run. That was my first run for I don't know how many days, like a week and a half or so, and I got a bit of stitch as well.
Hey, I've just got something to tell you really quickly. I'm sorry, Sophie. We talked about me chasing you when you were running down to the kayak, and I couldn't keep up. And you basically told me there's this footage of me, if you haven't seen it, chasing Richard with the camera as he's running down Mount White with his bike, and I'm actually struggling to keep up. And he thought to himself for a minute there that he was running really slowly and da-da-da. Then he figured out I couldn't keep up. So he pats himself on the back and goes, I must be going pretty good then, right? But what I want to tell you is I actually wound the footage back and found the raw footage of it. And actually, Chris, my cameraman, had the camera to start with. You ran past. I then got the camera off him. Then I had about a 100-meter dash to catch up to you, actually, to be fair. So I want some kudos back again there.
Yeah, exactly. I can't be going too bad. He's puffing lots.
Sorry.
Carry on. No, Angus is a fit athlete. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah. Sorry. Back to you, Sophie.
Am I back? Yeah, look, sort of. I've had a couple of weeks of taking it reasonably easy, but I'm about ready to get back into it now, I think. I was actually really excited for roadies tonight, so I'm a bit gutted about the rain.
Yeah, quite rainy. Yeah. So it's been a really long build up. How were you feeling standing on the start line? How was that like, oh my gosh, I'm pinching myself, is this real? Or were you like, oh heck, I'm super nervous because I'm actually here now? How was that? What was the thought going on for you?
To be honest, a bit of everything, I think. I was super nervous, but mostly I was just so excited to be there. I mean, it was a beautiful morning down on the beach. I had lots of mates around. I was just absolutely fizzing. It was a really cool feeling on that start line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So good. And what's been that like training there's been lots of trainings, lots of adventures, lots of I guess you've met lots of people as well. What's been the most rewarding aspect of your training for this event, and how's it actually impacted your life? It's a big question.
Yeah, there's a big question. And I mean, it's been a massively positive impact on my life. I was actually saying last night, it's become so much a part of my lifestyle that, it doesn't really feel like training anymore. And a big part of that is I'm really lucky, and probably my highlight of this whole event has been the mates that I've collected along the way. I have to give a shout out to this point to my training group, the Uncoachables. They wouldn't forgive me if I didn't mention them.
And who are they? We need to just rattle through those people.
Well, I can give their nicknames, or I can give their actual names.
We'll do nicknames, shall we?
Oh, the nicknames. We've got the top tier battler. We've got Boyle. We've got Arabelle. We've got T-Bone Tarzan, and we've got Bruce. I don't even know. And I'm CB squared, which stands for the crybaby. Because I'm prone to crying in the kayak.
That's so harsh. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, but I couldn't have done it without them. And, having a great group of mates around you to train with is just the absolute highlight of an event like this, I think. So, yeah, that's been amazing.
So good. What was the key highlight of the event for you?
Honestly, it's really hard to identify just one. I just absolutely loved the whole 2 days. That first ride was pretty incredible. I was having an absolute ball on that first bike ride, but probably the big highlight really is crossing that finish line. I mean, the sense of elation, sprinting up that sand dune and crossing the line was really cool. Yeah.
Yep. How many high fives did you give down the finishing chute?
None whatsoever. I was so focused. I don't know how I had gas in the tank because I worked quite hard on that final ride, but I somehow had a little bit of gas in my legs, and I just absolutely sprinted the finish chute. Like, there were hands out. I ignored them completely. All eyes were on the top.
So good. Did Angus get a hug at the end?
Oh, yeah, I think he did actually. It was a bit of a sweaty one.
I don't think I caught up with you until actually afterwards. I was just trying to think whether I remember you actually come. Just as everyone's come on tonight, I was trying to think how they were when they came across the finish line, and I don't actually know I was at the finish line exactly when you came across. Actually,
no, you might not have, but I did see you very soon after. And
very soon after,
he was probably trying to keep up as you were sprinting down the finish line.
Right. I was still 100 meters. Yeah. But you're right. I did catch you at the end there, and you were what did you tell me? You were proud. You were proud of yourself and your achievement there. And I had to back off there for a minute because you were about in tears, and I was about to get into tears because you were in tears. But it was such that was some real emotion there, Sophie. That you really were. You'd achieved that dream, that goal, that all of that passion was all just getting let out there on the finish line.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a buzzy feeling crossing that line. I think, especially because it's been the 2 years, with the cancellation last time around. Yeah, there was a lot of emotion coming out. I actually rewatched that interview you did with me the other day, and it's quite embarrassing in hindsight because I'm just sort of, I've got nothing to say, and that's quite unusual for me. I've usually got an awful lot to say.
Yeah.
But no, it was a lot of emotion.
Good job. Did you feel famous across the course of the weekend, Sophie? Like, you're a big deal on our podcast every week, every time. Were there any autographs asked for? What was the story across the weekend?
No, there weren't. But I think I probably made a bit of a name for myself on the river because everyone who came past, I would try and chat to them and tell them that I was not having the greatest day of my life on the river. So although I don't think there was any recognition from this, or at least none that I actually paid attention to, I think I became slightly infamous as the girl who hates kayaking, which I don't hate kayaking now. I actually quite like it. The second half of the gorge worked wonders for me.
Yeah, good stuff. Was there a low light across the course of the weekend, or was it all just awesome? Was it like moments?
Not a low light exactly, so much as a bit of a regret, I guess, in that I spent pretty much the first 35 Ks of that paddle being really, really scared. And, I'm a nervous kayaker. I don't have that much experience. And I was really nervous paddling above the gorge and the first half of the gorge. And because of that, I don't think I enjoyed it as much as I should have. And I wasn't in the moment. I was always thinking ahead to the next rapid and kind of panicking about what was coming ahead of me rather than enjoying being in that really special place and being on the water and being part of that atmosphere. So not a low light exactly, but more just something I'm like, oh, that'd be a good thing to do next time.
Next time.
Next time.
So entries in, is that what we're saying?
Yeah, my name was in actually every possible ballot because I wanted to maximize my chances. I don't know if that's how it works, but I really want to do it again. So
well, that just shows how keen you are to be part of the Coast to Coast family. And we'll just take a minute here to the Coast to Coast gods who maybe are watching, who maybe aren't. But Sophie wants another entry into the 2-day individual again. It's what she really wants.
Is that what she wants?
Yeah,
that is really what I want. I would really love to have another crack at that.
And what would be the goal next time?
Look, I blew my own expectations out of the water, to be honest. I placed in 13th, which I know that's not like the pointy end or anything, but for me, it far surpassed anything that I thought I was capable of. So I'd love to go top 10. That would be absolutely amazing. And that would be the goal.
Good job. Awesome. That's a pretty good goal. And because first of all, we turn up just to finish, and then obviously, hey, expectations, and then as you continue to learn and build and get better and better, that's pretty cool.
I thought they were one of the most experienced, planned out support crew of the weekend almost. And I'll tell you why. Am I allowed to share your kayak hack? Do you even know?
It's not even my hack.
It's not even your hack. Well, it was the only time I saw, not that I was there for a great deal of time, but at Mount White there at the kayak, and they were doing their transition and getting changed. And before they picked the boat up to go to the water, out come the bug spray can. Right. And in the hull, filled up inside full of bug spray. And Bob's your uncle, you get in. No sandflies, right? No bugs, no sandflies when you're getting down. What a great hack.
It's and just to trust the fact that it's going to be good. I thought they were good when you get a couple of bites there. It just gives you a bit of adrenaline. Like, oh.
But it's that itch you can't itch, right? It's like being in a cast and you can't itch it and you can't.
Yeah. No, that's
kayaking's hard enough for me. I didn't need a sandfly in my boat, making it even worse.
No, that's awesome. Any last comments, Sophie? Any last sort of things you'd like to share? Just to wrap up our Coast to Coast Season 4, Episode 6.
Hard to sum it all up, really, but I just it has been so special being part of this event, and I've loved chatting to you guys every month. It's been awesome. Thank you for putting up with my yarns. I've absolutely loved it. It's such an amazing thing to be part of, and the sense of community is so incredible, and the way that everyone kind of bands together and helps each other out. And so to anyone listening who is thinking, oh, that's on my bucket list, maybe one day, hopefully you've put your name in the ballot and you haven't missed it by, a couple of hours and now you're kicking yourself. But just give it a go. It is truly an incredible part of New Zealand sporting culture.
And if you haven't got your name in the ballot, Sophie might get a 3-person team, so you might be able to chat to her and get on her team. So there's still options.
I'm taking inquiries.
Hey, look, Soph, thank you so much for sharing your time with us over these podcasts and really letting us, I guess, experience from your side of it how your journey's been and getting there. Congratulations on making that finish line and in great shape. And that's what we've always aimed to do in this podcast, is get people to the start line and get them to the finish line in the best shape they can. And I'd have to say, Sophie, we ticked our boxes there.
Exactly. And looking good at the right moment. So definitely did that.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate all your help.
Well done. Take care, rest up, and we'll catch you soon.
Sounds good. See you soon.
See ya.
Well, we're nearly at the end of season 4, mate.
We are. How good.
We're almost long in the tooth at this game, right?
That's right.
Hey, mate, I just want to say a big thank you to actually a lot of people. One, to everybody who's watched any of our episodes or listened to our podcasts, whether you've watched or listened or however you have. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for supporting that. We got so much good feedback over the weekend over at Greymouth, people just rolling up to the tent there that we had at registration, and random people when I'm standing on the top of Goat Pass coming over the hill going, thank you so much for the podcast. And so good. So I'm pleased people. I got one guy actually say that thank God he now doesn't have to listen to any more. he's listened to them all, but now he's done it. He's done the coast to coast. He's done with it. He doesn't need to listen anymore. So that was quite funny. But again, thank you for that. Thank you to Kathmandu Coast to Coast for having us, allowing us to be part of this. Mate, thank you to Team CP also for putting this on and again, allowing this to happen for everybody out there.
And a big thank you to you, Angus, for your energy and enthusiasm on this podcast, but also across the weekend as well, putting the body on the line, up at stupid o'clock, bed late, etc., and just helping sharing everybody's story. And I think it's one thing is, I guess this podcast is looking to try and achieve, but what you do over the weekend as well is that the elite athletes are amazing, but I guess what you're trying to share is what the real event is about and what that 2 day is about and what the vibe and feel of that is about. So a big thank you for you for all the energy and effort that you put in.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be, like I say, I was lucky enough to get access to see this event in ways that other people don't get to see it. To, I guess, thank you to all the athletes that I put a microphone in front of and, you shared with me how you were feeling at the time and or how your race was. Thank you for being so welcoming of our intrusion, I suppose, in some respects. But I always still say, showing what happened during the race, the transitions is so good for people back home to actually understand what it's all about and also build that feeling about, I actually think I want to be a part of that. But probably most of all, those finish line interviews, when you're getting that raw passion as they come across, they've just done something absolutely fabulous, and you're the first person that they share it with, is actually quite a special thing to be able to be.
Absolutely. And good luck for your ballot entry that I put in for you as well. Looking forward to seeing what comes up with that as well. So we'll wait with bated breath come Monday, won't we?
Well, the problem is that one of us has got to do this job.
I'm not sure.
Is that a paper, scissors, rock?
Exactly. We'll see. So, hey, thanks for everybody for listening. Hopefully you've got something out of the tips we've shared and the people that we've had on board. But until next season, all the best for Monday, and hopefully you'll get a golden ticket and your name's drawn out of the hat. But thanks everybody, and we'll look forward to catching up with you soon.
See you next season.
It's the best Kiwi event in New Zealand, this.
Crossing New Zealand in 1 or 2 days.
Why do I do it? Because I love it.
Great.